Local leaders are now responding to our investigation into how they spend your tax dollars. We've spent the last month trying to get Lower Paxton Township supervisors to answer questions about their food purchases, and they finally published a statement in the township newsletter. The taxpayers say they still have big concerns. It's been a long wait for Lower Paxton taxpayers like Patrick Henderson.
I would ask that you revisit the policies that have led to this, that you be good stewards of our tax dollars and transparent in their utilization.
Our October investigation showed township supervisors spent more than 20,000 tax dollars to feed themselves before public meetings, raising their food expenses by 73% while also raising taxes. The supervisors would not answer our questions. We're trying to get answers for taxpayers. Don't you think they deserve a response to how their money is being used? But they did make a promise to Patrick.
We are going to put a response to this in our newsletter.
Now, here it is. No mention of reforms, but the supervisors admit tax dollars were used on pizza, hoagies, and salads. They say their meeting nights are long and they come from work and other activities, writing, quote, "Citizens may agree or disagree with this practice. That is their right. But we believe the practice to be reasonable."
I don't think the questions were answered. I think it's disappointing. I also found the tone a little defiant, sort of questioning why did they have to respond to these questions. And I don't think that's an appropriate response from our elected officials when there are legitimate questions before them.
Government watchdog and school board member Eric Epstein agrees.
I don't feel just because I ran for office I deserve A, B, C, or D. I did that on my own volition. I'm a public servant, and quote-unquote public servant means making sacrifices.
Besides transparency, Epstein's biggest concern is whether a taxpayer-funded meal of lobster and crab cakes was an attempt to influence accreditors evaluating the police department.
I do believe that was a good use of township funds because they make major decisions affecting the accreditation, and that has a huge impact on a lot of other areas that we do business on.
I mean, accreditation, auditing is a vital function of government. You want to find out where your weaknesses are, strengthen them, and move forward. You don't want to pin your hopes on a lobster dinner at a high-end restaurant.
We did receive an email from one person defending the township supervisors. He did not want to go on camera, but he said, quote, "These are a great bunch of individuals who work hard for our township. Getting a free meal, whether a sub or a lobster tail, makes no difference when you consider the holds they place on spending, noticeable improvements, and tax control." Others argue that as the supervisors continue to raise taxes, every penny counts.
It raises questions about whether or not they're being prudent with our taxpayer dollars in other decisions that they're making. So I think it's important that the media and certainly the constituents and the taxpayers follow up, hold our elected officials accountable, and ask questions that deserve answers.
We did find inconsistencies in the township newsletter. For example, it references financial documents the township originally told us it did not have. It also says the food was for meetings starting at or before 6 p.m., but we found food purchases on several nights when public meetings started well after 7. The supervisors have since discussed setting aside $50,000 to hire someone to manage township public relations. It's worth noting that going on camera and answering our questions is free.